Hey fellow Nevillers, here we are back with day 20, 365, sharing some Neville wisdom. I've had my nose up in a chapter called All Trivia. It's from Neville's book, The Law and the Promise, which I'm showing to you backwards. Anyhow, there's some mega bombshells up in this one. I've been using this chapter for my own wish fulfilled, and I've got some smacks I'm going to share with you. Neville leads off this chapter with a quote from Blake. If you've been up in Neville's works before, you'll know how much he loves Blake. The first quote I'll share with you, my lovelies, the chapter opens this way. General knowledge is remote knowledge. It is in particulars that wisdom consists and happiness too. If we study that a little bit, we'll see what Neville's trying to say here, and Blake, of course. So general knowledge is remote knowledge. I'm taking what he means here. General knowledge is just stuff that comes to our mind. But from our deeper self, he says, it is in particulars that wisdom consists. And what he does in this chapter is share some stories, wonderful stories, how people have had miraculous happenings with their wishes, i.e. they come to fruition really quickly too. So let me read you some of what Neville shares in this chapter. We must use our imagination to achieve particular ends, even if the ends are all trivia, because men do not clearly define and imagine particular ends. The results are uncertain, while they might be perfectly certain. To imagine particular ends is to discriminate clearly. From my notes here, it says clearly define and imagine particular ends. Neville says they can be uncertain or perfectly certain. So that's what we're to do with our imaginal scenes. Be specific, be particular. To imagine particular ends is to discriminate clearly. I looked up the word discriminate. Here's what it says. It says recognize a distinction between one and another, i.e. two separate things. The other meaning was perceive, constitute the difference. So what Blake and Neville and Google's is telling us, one object, another object, there's a distinction between them, i.e. say wish one, wish two. We'll call mine wish one, yours wish two. We've got to be particular with it, distinctive with it. And he illustrates this point saying the difference between a beech and an oak tree, i.e. how do we distinguish that? He puts it this way. To imagine particular ends is to discriminate clearly. How do we distinguish the oak from the beech, the horse from the ox, but by the bounding outline? I've studied this chapter before. The bounding outline, i.e. a beech tree or leaf is a certain shape. An oak tree and leaf are a certain shape, as are the ox and the horse. As in, your wish looks one way, my wish looks another way. So Neville says, definition asserts the formless generalizations which flood the mind, i.e. when we're sitting down to meditate or do our 2 minutes in the silence sats. If you guys understand them terms, fabulous. If you don't, jot a note down there and I'll either do a video or explain it to you. So he says, against the formless generalizations which flood the mind, i.e. when we sit down to do our practice, our mind is flooded with all sorts of thoughts. Eckhart Tolle calls them thought forms. In my mind, that's kind of like a cloud of energy, a cloud of protons, something like that. They flood the mind. So be distinct with your end scene, your wish, what you're focusing on in your imagination. Neville gives us a big fat clue with this line. Life on earth is a kindergarten for image making, i.e. close your eyes, come up with your scene. That's your image making. That's what we're here for, to fulfill our desires via images in our imagination. Some more, Blake. Life on earth is a kindergarten for image making. The bigness and littleness of the object to be created is not in itself important. So we can have a matchbox or a big fat jumbo jet, it doesn't matter. The great and noble golden rule of art, as well as of life, said Blake, is this: that the more distinct, sharp and wiry the bounding line, the more perfect the work of art, and the less keen and sharp, the greater is the evidence of weak imagination. So they're both poking us, hinting at us, teaching us to be more distinct with our end scenes. This is the way I'm perceiving it. And then he continues, what is it that builds a house and plants a garden but the definite and determinate? Now, you know what that means, i.e. you set out to build your garden and your home and you do it. And later on in this chapter, there's 3 fantastic stories how people use their imagination to get their wishes in super fast time. I think what I'll do is set up another playlist with all these fabulous stories that Neville shares, rather than make this video extremely long, and we'll share them there. Then you'll have a reference and you can go to use them for yourself. He leaves it this way. He just says the following stories are concerned with the acquiring of seemingly little things, or toys as I call them. But they are important because of the clear imaginal images that created the toys. And there's another reference there, the clear imaginal, what does he say? The clear imaginal images. So that's really our lesson for today, my lovelies, is be specific, be distinctive, and be clear with your imaginal images. And as I said earlier in the video, my lovelies, is this: if there's something you're not too sure of, leave a note down there, a comment, some love, some likes, and I will get back to you, because I'm just a Nevilleaholic and I love this stuff. Thanks for your time and attention. Feel free to reference a lecture or a book or a chapter, because you know I'm going to dive right in and share it. All right, my lovelies, that's enough excitement for one day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.